Waka waka and waka wee. It's time for you to spend time with me and Judd.
With me? Oh, I
Did
just
you like
wanted
that
to
one?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, good. Well, welcome
It
back.
upset me that you added "I'm Judd."
Oh, sorry, just not you. Did you not want to be involved this time?
Yeah, no, because it rhymed, and then you made it not rhyme, so it wasn't fun anymore.
Oh well, at least that's the intro we got. Thanks for joining the scruffiest boys you've ever seen once again. If you're a scruffy, gross one like us, then this is the place for you.
Can that not be our marketing, please? Can we not be the scruffy, gross boys of Twitch?
Look, just play to your strengths, okay? This is what we've got going for us. I'm ill. I've been for a few days at this point, but you know how it goes. We live it, life or death on the line. This podcast goes on, as we've seen with multiple funerals of multiple beings on this podcast at this point being mentioned, as well as the highs, the lows, and all of that. So I'm a bit poorly. If my voice sounds a bit bad, that's why. But don't worry about it too much. Oh god, it's another one. It's another one of those it's jam packed. It's full of everything. It's full of jam. It's packed full of jam. There's violence, crime, musical genius, a dramatic event, medical practices, and
I got another one of
stuff.
I got another one of my weird fucking dreams to talk about. I got another weird dream.
Have you got
segment
another
for you.
epiphany, like that one time when you went to
yeah,
the spiritual
like that
journey in your dream?
Yeah. This was just scary.
If you want to know about that, check out podcast number 80 something. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
But well, Judd, why don't I tell you about a living nightmare that happened to me recently?
Okay. All right, yeah.
It's where I live is. It's gonna be kind of.
Oh fuck! No. Is it just getting worse?
It is getting worse. Everyone's gonna think I live in some sort of Mad Max like type of scenario where it's just a free for all, and I'm so sorry. You could die at any moment, but it's not. At least it wasn't. But it is getting worse because the other day, my girlfriend runs into the bedroom where I was laid, fully clothed, just watching a video, and she was like, "There's some people like fucking fighting outside." And the phrase in the gun. The phrase she used was, "There's two smackheads beating each other up outside."
Yeah.
And she wasn't wrong. As in, she was out in the back garden putting some washing out, and she heard some noise out front. And she thought it was a dad telling off a kid, but turns out, no, it was just some violent smackhead pummeling some guy into the floor. Now, I've sent you a couple of videos and a photo, Judd. If you check out, I think it's the middle video. I'm not going to show this on the stream, and I'm not going to play any audio, because it has been reported to the police, because we don't want this shit happening literally right outside our house. As in, I filmed what was happening from the top window, and there's this like kind of smackhead in I don't want to say what he was dressed in or anything like that, but he's just booting this guy in the head who's like laid out on the floor. And in the video that I took that I sent to Judge, you can't see it, but he actually was like stood over him, pummeling him with a glass bottle at one point in the face.
God.
It was like really bad, and I swear I heard the guy who was beating him up saying, "I'm gonna burn you," and you can hear him in the video saying, "Scum, scum." So at this point, I was like, "Call the police now," because I started filming. But then she's on the phone calling the police, stood at the window saying, "Yeah, they're outside right now." And I'm thinking, get away from fucking window. What are you doing? We don't want this guy who's violently attacked someone right outside our doorstep knowing that we're reporting him to the police and filming him. The fuck is that about? So that was terrible, but it's not good at all, that, is it?
Look, all right, I'm just gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate.
By the way, you can
What
see
if he deserved it?
the impact of the guy and the other video. You can see his face like covered in blood and shit.
Yeah, no,
but,
I saw.
This is the thing. The guy who were beating him up is shouting "scum, scum" and all that.
Yeah.
I reckon the guy who was getting beaten up probably did deserve it. Of knowing how people are around here, how they respond, and
we've got to listen. Okay, we got a little bit of a wasteland justice kind of situation going over where we live. Yeah. In the sense that, look, I'm not going to label this guy as anything. This could just be some just shit that happened that wasn't good in any sense. But say, just perhaps that we had a nonce on his hands.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
If people around here were aware of a nonce in the neighborhood, shall we say, they knew before, like, the police, that guy is probably going to get his head kicked in. There's that guy who he has something like some sort of Down syndrome or like some sort of mental problem, and he kept messaging like young children to try to get them to like meet up with him, and like British police had to constantly like move him around, relocating him. And some lads, some teenage lads, so not even our age, like 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, found out where he lived. Yeah. And they broke into his house and like beat him with a steel pipe and like fucked him up, like nearly killed him. And like they recorded the whole thing and like put it online as well. And it's like,
a lot of people would agree with that. And that's why police have to move sex offenders about so much, because it's hard to argue that that's a wrong thing to do in a lot of cases.
Here's the thing. Here's why I was like into that. That's awful saying into that, but I mean, I don't care. I am in. Yeah, I'm not going to be ashamed of Peter. I'm not. You know what? No, my official stance is I am okay with paedophiles getting beat up. That's my official stance.
See, if anyone clips that out of context, they're going to accidentally clip. My official stance is I am okay with paedophiles. That's what they're going to clip out of context.
No, that's not. No,
and now I've said it. Oh, God.
Well, you did say it. But what I'm saying is, like, the main thing there is, like, if he was just some confused sort of person who had these mental problems and he was looking for this sort of companionship and he didn't understand that it was wrong and he did it wrong the first time, all right, okay, it's not a good situation, it's a bad scene. But, that I can sort of be like, well, that guy needs help. The problem is, he kept doing it. He kept, every time
he'd get some help, though. That's the thing.
Well, he must have been doing, but every time, he'd obviously knew he was doing something wrong because people would find him and tell him what was going on, and he'd, like, serve some sort of time. But the second he could, he'd try and lure little kids back. He knew what he was doing, so it's like, yeah.
I don't know, so, but then again, is it justice to just get like pummeled to death because of that, or should they be locked up? See, there's a lot of political debate about this, but here's the thing with the stuff that was happening outside my house. I kind of don't necessarily advocate for violence that's not within the law. I don't necessarily not advocate for it either. I'm not going to give an official stance on that, but what I will say is, if the guy who was getting beaten up has done something far worse than just being beaten up, I don't necessarily see much problem with it, but I'm so sorry. That's going to be happening a lot. But the problem is, I don't want that level of violence right outside my house, no matter what's happening. So I'm going to report it to the police.
Because I would, I'd be totally okay with that, as long as it didn't come anywhere near my property. Like I mean, on my property.
That's far too close to my property.
No.
It's literally 10 steps away from my property.
I don't know. They're not on my lawn. Like,
yeah, I know, it's not yet, but they are near my lawn, and I don't want to. That's too close for comfort. If they were 2 streets over, I could deal with it.
I'd let them fight near my house. I think I'm a good guy.
I think I'm a good guy.
I think I'm an alright guy.
Fighting. It was a straight up beating.
I'd shout out my window and go, "Hey, you're good where you are. Just keep it there."
Hey, why don't you try and like drop kick him or something? Why don't you try stamping rather than kicking?
No,
you might
I'm not
do more
suggesting anything, but if you set his teeth on the pavement, I don't want to
God.
suggest anything, but I learnt a little something from American History X.
But all I was thinking is, right, that if the guy who was getting beaten up had done something bad, then by reporting it to the police, if they investigate it, then it might get both of them done, you know? Which would be ideal, really. Obviously, they're not investigating it at all. Because when I reported it, the police did come round, because we'd called 999, we're like, this is happening now, come now.
Yeah.
We don't know how long they're going to be there, you might catch them in the act.
Yeah.
They split up and walked off before police got here, because the police took about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is already a bit long, realistically, if someone was, like, potentially getting pummeled to death. So they came round and they knocked on the door, and they were like... My girlfriend had kind of been aware of this first, so she'd kind of seen more of it. Not by a long way, but, you know. And they were only really interested in talking to me, for some reason, rather than both of us. I had the video, which I showed to these police. There was a policewoman and then this fella. And this policewoman was asking most of the questions and seemed to be in charge. And she was talking to me and I showed them the video, both the video clips and everything. And she said to the guy she was working with, oh, can he send that to yours? Oh, no, she said to me, are you willing to send us that? And I thought, well, why do you have to ask me that? Why can't you just say, you have to send us that? That's evidence. Like, I was thinking, what the fuck? But I was like, yeah, of course I'm willing to send it to you.
She's just being nice, like, you know.
So she asked the guy that she's with, she's like, oh, can you send it to yours? And he went, oh, it's on charge in car. And I was thinking, fucking go get it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on charge. Can't be bothered. I'd have to walk to the end of the path and...
Yeah, it's like, do your job, you fucking pig. I hate cops. I'm sorry, I hate cops. I'm gonna say it.
You have to be. When we've lived here, we've had to report 4 crimes. That's double the amount I've ever had to report in my entire life. And they've done fuck all. Honestly, most of the council tax we're paying goes towards the police fucking commissioner. He does nothing. It's insane. So they just took my details. He said, oh, well, just take his details and then we'll get it from him. Not heard anything from him at all.
Yeah.
They asked if it goes to court, would I be willing to appear in court? And I kind of said, yeah, definitely. I want to make sure we're safe, though. I don't want, like, people to know that we've reported it and know where we live, because it's really obvious who's reported it and where they live.
Yeah.
If, you know, it could be really easy to work out, because they obviously live near here. And I'm pretty certain they live in the estate kind of down our right, which is where I think the troublemakers are coming from. So, but just nothing. Not heard anything. And I think the police kind of are just like, well, if the guy never presses charges, then none of this is going to matter anyway, so we'll only do any work on it if the guy tries to press charges. But he's obviously probably done something wrong, so the police are kind of like, well, the guy who were getting beaten up probably did something wrong anyway. So they're having that attitude. The actual police! We actually live in a fucking lawless society, honestly. That's why, if someone breaks into your house, beat the living shit out of them. Because what are they going to do? Try and press charges against you? They're going to go down for it as well, then. Yeah. So what's this?
Welcome to Night City.
Honestly, you need to defend yourself at this point. This is in. We're not in fucking America, where, like, it's all about freedom and shit, and you're allowed to shoot people on your land and all that. We're in more of, like, a policed country. And even ours, it's like, they're just so useless. And the law's so, like, fucky when it comes to actually doing any good, that you just may as well ignore it and fucking do what's best for you. Unless you're doing a crime that kind of disservices the government in some way, that costs the government some money. Like, if they found you littering, they'll get you for all of that, you know? So, yeah, that was the smackhead fight outside of my house. It's genuinely getting a bit worrying around here. It's not good, and I'm really annoyed about it, because for years it's been fine. My grandma's lived here, like, most of her life, and she's never had any problems with it. And this isn't, like, someone who's got nostalgia or much bias, because she's, like, seen all of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, but that's another tale from the crimes around around my area. I did do something else that was fun though, and it's probably the reason why I'm ill. I went to a gig, Judd.
Oh, okay.
All right, sorry. Do you want a better story? Shall I move on already? You're like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
fucking hell. I went to see Newton Faulkner. You know him?
Who? No.
Newton Faulkner. He's the one that does the one that's Dream Catch Me When I Fall. That one. Or else
Dream.
I won't come back at all.
The YouTube sensation Dream.
Who's recently done a face reveal. I think that's who it's about. You not heard
Yeah.
that one?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd not really heard anything of it until I did the game. And,
So,
partner wanted to see it.
If I've not heard about it, then quite frankly, it's not good.
I think it was very good. But I did my standard thing because I've done music for so long. If there's any like kind of subpar stuff about some music, I will like not be able to contain myself about it. So I'll be like going, ugh, and just kind of like sneering at it and things like that. And his support act was so like mediocre. He was good at singing, but his songwriting was naff. He's like the music behind it was a bit rubbish. The dynamics weren't amazing. All of that, it was all just kind of.
I like to imagine you're critiquing them in real time, so like you shout up like, "Hey, that bit was wrong. You did it wrong."
No, I do actually do that, but not to the people on stage. Like whoever I'm with, I'm like,
I know that's what you do because you do it like if I'm with you at something, like if we're like stood there like watching something, like you've watched Sweeney Todd, haven't you? You know when Sweeney Todd and like that woman are in the crowd and that guy's doing the barber thing, and he's like leaning over to Mrs. Lovett and he's like bad-mouthing the guy. That's what you do.
It is. I do that all the time. I can't help myself. I've just come to accept it at this point. But it's only because I've put so many years of effort into trying to know what's good in music, but I shouldn't. It's a bit of a dick move, really, but when people are trying to enjoy something, maybe afterwards could make a difference, but I'm so sorry, I'm going to cough forever. It's not the COVID, by the way. It feels quite bad, but I did do a COVID test and it came back negative, luckily. So there was one thing that happened that was... Oh, no! There was two things that were interesting at this gig. I remembered why I put it down. If there was only one, I might not have mentioned it, but during the whole fucking thing, we got a spot in the crowd quite close to the stage. And there was this couple were right near us, and they were weird as shit. They were quite tall, and they seemed to be getting on really well. They asked another couple within the crowd to take a picture of them together in this crowd, and they looked quite, into each other and everything. But then, weirdly, all of a sudden, like almost immediately after they were being quite loving, they got in a right argument right in the middle of the crowd of this guy playing. I'm so sorry. It was like the woman was like, she'd done something recently, and she'd not cheated on him or something. I don't think it weren't anything like that. I think she might have smoked weed or something like that, from what I can tell. And I think she'd done something that he wasn't happy with, and it felt like what he wasn't happy with her about was probably justified because she seemed overly defensive with him about whatever she'd done. And she kept saying really loud as the music was going, "You have to get over it." Like, and she was like, but she was really flamboyant. So this is quite a tight crowd. Like, people are quite reasonably shoulder to shoulder. And she's like wiggling her arm about like a stereotypical 80s movie sassy black lady. You know what I mean? Like when they're trying to
How do you mean Huncules?
Yeah, she's honestly, she's like, and she's like getting up in his face and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Snapping her fingers.
And then at some point, they started like snogging and shit again, and like got their arms around each other as the music's going and all sorts. I'm thinking, what the fuck is this bipolar ass couple? Like, what the fuck? So she she must have been superly extroverted and like desperate for attention, because there was another couple next to them that were really quite short and quite like unique looking. They had like the woman of the couple had like a buzz bald haircut, and they were wearing she was wearing kind of hippie-ish clothes.
Have I said that? Have I said before how I like that when girls do that?
I don't know, like I know it suited this woman like really well.
That's what I mean. It's like some girls when they've like done that with their hair. Like Pink did it at one point, and it looked really good when she did it.
I think it just makes them stand out because it's not typical for women. So I think that's. But anyway, and there was this other guy, and he was wearing a flat cap and stuff. So they were quite noticeable, and I think that's why she started talking to him. This like mental woman, because she like the guy in the shorter couple was obviously a big fan of this dude. He knew all the songs, he knew all the words. He'd brought a kazoo to the gig because there's a song that involves kazoo, so he knew about that and everything. So he was obviously a big fan. And this taller woman was like overly trying to be part of him enjoying it. Like she was trying to like be part of that couple enjoying the gig, and like she constantly was like elbow nudging this short guy and going, and like going, oh yeah, this is the shit, and stuff, and he's like trying to enjoy it and sing along and stuff, and you don't fucking leave him alone, and it's like she just couldn't understand the social cues of it. And also there was quite a tall guy in front of her. Now she was my height, which is tall for a woman, and but there was a guy in front of her who was like 6'2", 6'3". He was quite tall, and he was fairly close to the front. Now, I understand that it's annoying when you're trying to watch a movie or you're at a gig or something, and there's a tall person in front of you. I understand it's annoying, but people can't help being tall, you know? Like
you say to him, "Hey, freak, how's the weather up there?" And everybody points and laughs at the stupid tall bastard. Freak!
Got him! That's so funny! So yeah, there was again, and she was like so annoyed at him, and she was like squaring off with the back of his neck, and like it was really weird.
Yeah.
And she like kept tapping on his shoulder and going, excuse me, and she was from
my God.
She was from down south, and she wanted him to move forward a bit so she could see, and he was like, there's a bunch of people in front of me, I can't move forward, I can't help being tall. And so he just didn't, because like I don't really play. He can't help it, you know. It's what it is. Like he was kind of blocking my view a bit, but like just try and move a bit if you can. There's no.
I mean, everybody blocks my. When I was at Download, I didn't see shit. Everybody blocked my fucking view. I don't even know what happened. I just saw a guy's back for like 5 days.
It was funny because she was like, I just couldn't believe that she was annoyed at this guy for being the height he was. It was so odd, especially when she was tall. She was blocking people behind her. So like, this woman was just mental. It drove me nuts. But she didn't steal the show when it come to the ladies doing stuff, because there was a point in the concert where he was doing a typical like rock star build up. He was like, like he was building it all up, and everyone was about to jump. And right as he was like getting to the climax of this build up, and everyone was going to jump about, it was going to be great, this old woman just flopped and fainted right in the middle of the dance floor.
Oh, god damn!
Sorry, I needed to take a drink. And bless him, like unlike fucking who is it, Travis Scott. He immediately stopped. As soon as he saw someone go down, he stopped and went, oh, she's gone down. And everyone immediately went, whoa, and made a big space for her. And there was a doctor in the crowd who went, hello, I'm a doctor. And it was like a stereotypical. It was a small round fat bloke with like a balding head with like round glasses on. He's like, hello, I'm a doctor.
I like this character. I don't believe he's a doctor. I like to imagine them. I like to imagine him there. He's stood and he's got like a thick leather bag, and it's like bleeding. It's like really soggy. doggy at the bottom. It's like, hello, I'm a doctor. It's like, what are you gonna do?
I like to imagine he comes up to her and rather than giving her medical attention, just starts trying to drag her away. While still
like, oh yeah, she's been pronounced dead, and it's like we can see she's breathing,
and everyone's kind of just looking at him like, I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do right there.
It's like dragging her away. It's like going, bye bye. I should get rid of this one.
Yeah, it was handled very very quickly and well compared to some other gigs, which but it was quite a fun drama. It was weird to see everyone like just working so well and no one annoyed by it or anything. They were just like, lady fainted, and then just kind of like moved out of the way.
If that was a Travis Scott concert, he would have personally walked into the crowd and like stomped it in.
God, too soon? I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun. It was one of those where I'm at the point in my life now where we turned up to that gig. I was driving, so I wasn't drinking. My girlfriend doesn't really drink at this point either, so neither of us were drinking. We just had one glass of Coke, and that was it. And right before it was about to start, and kind of almost during the support act as well, I was thinking, I'm excited for this to have ended. Like, I'm excited to have for this experience to be in the past, so that I can remember this experience more than I'm excited to be in the experience. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
There's a lot of stuff like that. I like to be able to look back on the fact that I've done stuff more than actually doing the things to a certain extent.
Yeah, like I got a little bit like that at Download, but only in certain like lull moments when we like weren't doing anything. Like especially on the last couple of days when I was like, you know, I was having a good time, but it was like, well, now I'm sort of just looking forward to like having because we went with like barely any preparation as well, so we were missing so much stuff, and it was just kind of like, yeah, I can't wait until I'm sort of saying with Sam, remember the time when we fucking spent 5 days in a field with like nothing, and you know, just fucking
enjoying
acted like
the stories and the memories,
and we
more
do
than
like that. We loved that our first time at Download was such a shitter because I almost feel like you have to do that for your first time at your festival, where it like has to be bare bones. So
yeah, it was like that with Leeds Fest. To be honest, I've done lots of festivals and we actually prepared really well, but it's I don't know. But this was like a nice thing that we'd booked, and in theory, it should just be enjoyable. There's not much bad about it, but it's because I'm so like old and grumpy now. The idea of like being, well, we got there and it's like at like 7:30, nearly 8:00. I'm thinking, God, I'm kind of tired. You know, I'm kind of tired. I've been working all day. I don't know if I actually want to do this. But to my surprise, like it went on a good half hour longer than I thought it would, and I didn't mind. I was just enjoying myself, to be honest. And it was that happens so rarely now in adult life that it surprised me. It actually like caught me by surprise. It's like, oh wow, I'm enjoying the moment here.
Yeah,
it was really weird. But I don't know. I like that. Judd, you said you've had a spiritual journey dream. Maybe that old lady when she fainted had a dream of some kind.
We connected our souls intertwined. No, it's not a spiritual one like the other one. It was just weird because I've had you've probably had them as well. I actually think they're probably a common dream now, especially now, like nuclear sort of apocalypse dreams. You know, like somebody's fired the nukes. Have you ever had one of those?
Maybe.
Like, you know. You've never had one of those.
I might have at some point. I don't think it's massively common. What I tend to dream about the most is whatever I've been obsessing with the most. So like, when I was playing a shit ton of Apex, I'd just dream that I was playing Apex.
Yeah. What it is for me is it's something that I'll very mildly be worried about or scared about. So if I see something and it I sort of register that that's a bad thing. I sort of like store that away, and I'm like, well, I don't really. I'm not going to focus on about that. Like, that's not on the Jordan agenda, okay? so you know, like for instance, like it's everything that's going off in Russia is scary, but
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on what's happening in Russia right now. It's not on the top of Jordan's priority list, even though it is terrible.
I'm very
So-
curious as to what is on the top of that priority list
And
because
nothing. That's the thing. That's how I
nothing.
that's how I do it. I try to keep my
you just
priority
push
list
everything
nice
way
and clean.
down there.
Yep,
Just get it right.
So-
Just go.
but
right on down
But the
there.
same thing happens with like horror stuff as well. So like, I'll get scared by something, but like not really
Like a
scared.
horror
Not like really. Go on, what?
Like a horror film.
No, well, anything. So like, maybe like when we're watching the backroom stuff or something, just some
Yeah.
scary thing. And maybe it's just something. It could be anything.
I
It'll just.
watched a movie that
I'll
was
just.
slightly tied to the backrooms recently, by the way. I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, that's cool. But I'll just push it to the back of my mind, and then I'll dream about it. I'll have a nightmare about it, and then this will be like 2 or 3 weeks later when I've seen that thing, and I'll sort of think to myself, "What the fuck was that doing there? Like, why is that resurfaced?" Those are my dreams. But anyway, usually if I have, because this is a sort of reoccurring one for me, a nuclear apocalypse dream. What tends to happen is a nuke will go off, and I'll be going, "Oh shit, a nuke!" and everybody else will be going, "Oh god, a nuke!" and then I'll wake up because I've been killed by a nuke. It's
Right.
or
Do you
or
do the
it's
thing
just
where you
come
like
in.
jerk in bed?
No, I saw what I actually sort of do is I sort of wake up and I go, "Oh," like I wake up immediately, realize it was a horrible dream, but I still feel awful. Like my body's still in that moment, but I'm immediately aware that like it wasn't a real threat. So I sort of just go, "Whoa," when I wake up.
Would you say that your body felt like it was in more than one place at the same time?
No, it's not like that. I don't feel like I'm split or anything.
What's
It's
segue?
just. Oh, okay. Anyway, before you can segue, before you can like fucking just deny me my whole story, what was weird about this nuke dream that I had was that the nuke didn't just go off and then I was up. It like had a build up and everything. Like I remember being at work and hearing on the radio like, "Oh, tensions are mounting, but in Ukraine between Russia and Britain have decided to get more involved, properly sending troops over and everything, like fully back in Ukraine." And I was, I ignored that in my dream. I then went to do work, and
Oh,
it was like a whole hour in my dream of doing work. And then it's like, okay, the nuke's happening. It's happening now. But they didn't immediately target England. They were like firing them sort of like, at Ukraine a little bit.
right.
And then I had a full day in this dream, like of worrying, like, because we all went home
Did it
because
feel
like there's a nuke.
sped up or anything like that? Did it?
No, it was like it felt like a full day, and
No,
I
time
remember-
skips or anything. Like, did it?
There was a couple. Like I remember feeling like I was at work for a couple of hours, and then there was this sort of time skip, and then I was back home. But then I was back home for like I felt like a few hours. Then I went to sleep in my dream as well. I went to sleep, and then was woken up because then they were like, "Okay, now they're firing nukes at us." So then I was like, "Okay, we got to go somewhere," but. There was this. Oh shit! I've knocked my earphones out. Sorry. There was this really sort of melancholy feeling to the whole dream. I think I've just turned my sound off. Can you say something?
Hello,
Can you?
Judd. Am I
There you go.
here?
There you go. Sorry. There you are. Sorry about that. There was this really weird melancholy to the whole thing because it wasn't just sheer panic. There was a lot of panic for like the first bit, but it was almost like everybody sort of realized. Well, if this is it, there's nothing really we can do about it. Like everybody, like you'd think there'd be more global freaking out, but actually, what happened was everybody sort of went, "This is terrible and awful," but it's almost like because it was so much, people just went, "Well, what can we do? What can we do about it?" So what instead happened is instead of this being this mass sort of panic of people trying to find cover. Is actually there was this huge community gathering in this sort of field, and there was like some like loads all over. But we went to a more local one, And it was kind of just this thing of people just being stood in this field, and there was like some people were cooking and stuff, but it wasn't, nobody was celebrating or anything. It was just this like almost really melancholy, just waiting for it to happen kind of thing. And I remember a nuke hitting. There was a nuke hit Scotland before it hit us, and I was like, "That's kind of weird," because it like they didn't do it, like it, we were joining in. I don't know why they got hit first, but
poor Scotland.
I know. I remember thinking like that was the sort of part of the whole melancholy thing. It is like that. I remember that happening and being stood there and thinking, fucking what? Why? Like, I remember thinking that. I was like, why did they deserve it? But like you could see it. You could actually see it from where we were stood, because it was just this huge fucking like explosion. You could see it way off in the distance, of rising and rising, and it was this really long experience. And I woke up. I think I woke up finally as we were getting hit with this nuke, but like it was this whole fucking ordeal, man. I like woke up. I think I'd not even slept the whole night. I think I'd fallen asleep at about 9:30, and I woke up at 2:30. So I'd spent like 2 days in the dream. I'd slept like 4 hours, 5 hours. But it was crazy. It just felt so real, and like it lasted. It felt like it lasted so long as well. Yeah, there you go.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's totally hard to... It's one of those things, dreams like that kind of feel so real. It's one of those things that are really hard to describe to other people, yet everyone knows the feeling. It's one of those where you said, it's one of those dreams, you know what I mean? Like, that's all you can say to someone.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I do know what you mean somehow.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. I don't tend to dream so much anymore. My brain's too busy. It's either too busy so that I can't even get to sleep in the first place, or I've not got anything to worry about, so then I can sleep finally, which rarely happens. But hopefully it wasn't a premonition or something. Hopefully it wasn't like a Final Destination type thing.
Could you imagine if like it actually all kicked off, and I'd foretold it, even down to Scotland being hit before us? What would you do? Do you think you'd call me just
to be a nuke?
Well, I know, but do you think, like, if Scotland got hit before us, do you think you'd call me and just be like, right, well, like, what would you say? Would you do anything, or would you not give me the satisfaction? When you're like, no, well, I'm not gonna
probably find a smackhead and start kicking him. Get my glass bottle. And,
yeah.
And have to embrace the Mad Max. I don't know. Yeah. But look, right. Let me tell you about something even more incredible than a nuke, Judd. It is that this podcast is available live at twitch.tv/streamsbadly, but also on the Streams Badly YouTube channel as well. That's right, we stream to both, so there's more reason to subscribe to both channels. If you want the audio-only version, you can get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good platforms, Anchor, that's a good one, and at TweetsBadly on Twitter for updates on stream news and all sorts. You can catch the video version of this non-live version on YouTube as well, on the Streams Badly YouTube channel, as well as a bunch of other cool stuff. There's all sorts of videos going out there all the time, especially ones where I'm drunk. So, I might be poorly, Judd, but my girlfriend's also been poorly for a while. I don't know how poorly she is now, but she's been going around all sorts of doctors trying to find out what's been going on. And one of the things that she's done is ordered a hormone test to see if her hormones are out of balance, because that's the only thing that's kind of been suggested repeatedly, that it could be something to do with her hormones. And how bad are you with needles and blood and that sort of thing?
I'm not too bad. I'm pretty good. I shoot smack directly into my eyeball, and I've been okay. So
okay, that one's not true. Don't shoot smack into your eyeballs, please, kids. Because I know you were gonna. So. Okay, well, yeah, I'm not bad at all when it comes to this sort of thing. She is terrible. She's really bad. Okay. As in, the night before, she had a full-on panic attack, and I had to calm her down, being like, it's alright, it's going to be next to nothing. So, they give you these little, like, stabber things, and you have to stab your finger, and then you have to put the blood into this little test tube. Now, the test tube looks little, but the amount you have to fill it with blood, it's so much blood to come out of like a tiny pinprick on your finger. So
Yeah.
it says in the instructions that you have to like milk the finger to like get the blood to keep coming out.
I didn't
Now-
like that. I didn't like milk the finger to get the blood to come out. I didn't like that sentence.
We already had to do lots of preparation, like getting your hands warm because that makes the blood flow a bit more and cleaning
Yeah.
them and all that sort of junk. We already had to set her up in a position where she felt most comfortable, have some banana cookies ready next to like for when she's done. She freaks out so much. But let me tell you, honestly, first time I stabbed her with it, right? Right in the right spot. I'd figured out how to do. Well, the
What,
first,
you were going to say right in her eyeball then? I
No.
stabbed her right in her eyeball.
well, the first one, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know if I was supposed to actually like press the end of the thing into her,
Yeah.
or if I were meant to squeeze it in the middle to make the needle poke out. Because I'd
Yeah.
seen a couple different types online. So they gave you 3 stabbers in case you needed to do it multiple times to fill up this like massive amount of blood to come out of the end of a finger in the way that they're asking you
Yeah.
to do it. So I had to use one of them to figure out how it's even supposed to be done in the first place. Turns out I had to press it against her. So I pressed the first one against her. We got about halfway, nearly halfway, before her first finger just like dried up. Just straight up wouldn't fucking come out anymore.
It shriveled up completely. It was now.
And she's freaking out the whole time. It was so fucking hard. And this meant that I had to get up at like a good half hour, 45 minutes longer than I typically would have to wake up. Because you have to do it on a specific day, and it has to be posted that morning for the lab to get it quick enough, and all sorts. So we
The
had to wait
analysis.
ages for her to calm down to go for round 2. So I went for round 2, and I swear to God, she wanted to sit down the second time because she was freaked out, but you're not really supposed to because the blood flow's not quite as good. But the second time, no fucking blood would come out. I swear, honestly, it
She
definitely
was already
punctured her.
dead.
I swear, honestly, she'd been drained bone dry. I have no idea how you could have filled up one of these tubes, and she was looking so fucking pale at that
Yeah.
point. It wasn't like she'd lost a lot of blood, relatively. Like, I've lost loads more blood just on, like, a minor accident before, but it was because she was freaking out and stuff as well, and oh god, it was just so annoying. It just feels like such a flawed way of doing it. It was like such a tiny needle that it had healed before you could even get any blood out.
Have you ever like seen anything that's made you like feel faint? Like you've gone like I need to. You felt like you're gonna pass out.
What, from just seeing it?
From scenes, I'll say experiencing. I think I know what you're gonna say if I say experiencing, but seeing
breaking
first.
my arm was
Yeah, okay. I definitely knew that was gonna come up.
that was kind of it was mostly that it felt really weird when it happened.
Yeah,
So
I guess,
broke
yeah.
my arm wrestling if you don't know, podcast listener. And it like it broke with a massive loud thing and then like flopped around on the table that I was wrestling on.
Yeah.
And everyone
I
was
might
just
have
stared
passed
at it
it, yeah.
in shock. They were
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And I went, well, call an ambulance then.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh shit, yeah. And they managed to call a taxi before an ambulance. And I was like having to fucking, like when we're playing Apex, I'm like, right, we're going to move here. We need to focus on this guy. I was like in-game leadering for the whole fucking table of people, even though I was the injured one. I was like, oh, ambulance is going to take like 45 minutes. Like, okay, let's try a taxi then. Grab a taxi. There might be taxis right outside. Just someone go out there and someone come and watch my arm and make sure it's not dead. And then it's like, right, we need to figure out a way of me standing up because I'm going to have to get out of this place. So we're going to have to figure out a way of how I'm going to get some stabilization under my arm. We're going to have to make sure it's steady. We don't want it flopping about all over the place and my skin ripping or some shit. So I'm like seeing all this stuff like, is there any way someone can lend a shirt? Is there any way I'm doing all that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And so I stood up and I'm like, right, everyone, I might be about to pass out any moment, so everyone prepare for that. Someone get behind me. It's like, because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like, oh shit, I'm about to pass out. That's what I'm thinking in my brain. So I'm like, right, I need to prepare all these fuckers for that because they're useless. so I'm like acting like some sort of commander being like, right, everyone prepare for me to pass out because it's about to happen. So yeah, that's the time I felt like I might pass out. And another time was when my arm was still broken and they sent me home and I could feel the bones knocking together from the bumps when we were in the car. That made me feel ill and like I was about to pass out.
So, I've got one, and I gotta say, I gotta hit this with an actual like gore warning. I talk about this because it's fucking nasty. Like
something you
it's
actually
not.
saw in real life then?
No, it's Well, I mean, I guess kind of. It was a video of seeing it, but I usually am pretty good with seeing stuff. I don't seek anything out really. I'm not some sort of sick freak. I have seen videos like of people being killed before. I haven't searched them out or anything. I'm not police. I'm not a bad guy. But I've seen them. But usually, I mean, it freaked me out or disgust me about a bit. But I've never like felt like I was going to faint. However, one time, me and a couple of my friends were getting nice and drunk. And have you ever been on a website called eFucked before, Jake?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So eFucked, dear listener, is sort of like
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
it's almost sort of like blooper porn or like sort of funny porn thing, like funny porn videos, like funny and weird,
explicit, but like mental. It's not it's not arousing. It's not, and none of it's meant to be arousing.
And it's like you'll find like bloopers from like pornos, or you'll find just like really bizarre porn, like people are getting like, but it's just to normal person it's just freaky. But we were going through them and we were having a good time, and again. Guys, the real actual warning. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! I'm seeing some video right now. Oh my lord! Poor woman. Holy shit! She was having something hammered somewhere.
Oh god. So anyway, so there was a guy, and he was laid down, and there was a lady wearing high heels, and she took a high heel.
Oh no! No! Just another warning.
Okay, and one more warning, guys.
Actually,
I'm serious now.
I'm encouraging you to skip this bit. Like, skip like 3 minutes into the head.
Okay. I'm gonna be quick with this then, so that the 3-minute skip actually is valid. She shoved her heel into the man's pee hole, fucked it a bit.
I might throw up.
And then she pulled it out of his pee hole. And when she did, the guy started to come first, but then it was mixed with blood. And it was like this weird, awful mixture, and the guy was going like that, and I nearly passed out. I had to like run to the toilet, and I got very dizzy and nearly passed out. Yeah, it was not a good scene.
Cal says shoved it right up the immense crustacean.
Yeah.
He's currently eating spaghetti, which...
Nice, enjoy that.
Oh,
but yeah, that's the only time I think I've ever seen anything, and my spirit felt like it left my body. I was like, I'm not good with that.
I'm alright with gorsey. Like that's done.
Yeah.
It don't bother me that much. Not like viscerally. Not when it comes to like am I gonna faint and things like that. When like emotionally it could do, depending on like the scenario and everything, but in a medical scenario, not so much. I'm currently so like on the front page of eFuck, just so you know the type of thing that's on here. It's shown me a woman has a device up her rectum as she's tied to the ceiling, and this device is a pogo stick. So the top end of the pogo stick goes up the rectum, and she bounces up and down, and she's painting a picture with it.
You're painting a picture? Wow, that's just talent.
That's just talent, yeah.
That's just talent.
God, there's another one who's putting an entire ostrich egg up her rectum. That's enough of that. So, oh my god, it's an awful sight.
It is. It's definitely a place where drunk boys in their 20s go. For a giggle.
You'd be surprised, because I remember being at university, and the person I was with then, a bunch of her friends before a night out had decided to boot on up to eFucked and get themselves nice and ready for the like night out. which
Nice.
I don't
Nice
know
girls.
about
I like those
that.
girls. I know, I
But,
want to party with it. Those sound cool. Those sound like the cool girls on camp.
yeah. But speaking of like weird liquids leaking from places that you wouldn't want to see them, there's been a disaster at my house, Judd.
Disaster.
So basically, what happened? We've got a leaky tap, and it's not much of a problem, until it starts leaking in a certain way that we spoke about water tension once recently. So what happens is, rather than just dripping down into the sink, if it gets to a certain point, it'll run down the tap. It'll like almost cling to the tap, and then kind of gather on the top bit of the sink, not the bit where water's supposed to go. So that was happening, and it must have been happening like all night. And then also it was the day where we were doing the blood test and all that, and I had to go into the office that day as well.
Yeah.
And it meant that like water was slowly leaking all over the bathroom floor. And when we actually came home from work early. When we got back, the ceiling of the kitchen below the bathroom had sagged down loads, and we're like, oh fucking hell, this is a big problem. We're gonna have to sort this out. And I knew the tap had leaked, but I knew the tap was leaky, but it was like dripping into the sink typically.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much of a problem with that. But my girlfriend was like, we're probably gonna need to like cut it open and let it drain. But she immediately poked it with something. It just started running everywhere. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So
nice.
it was properly like out of a movie type thing where we had the buckets underneath and it was like just streaming down, and it looks a right mess. We've had to scrape all that. For some reason there was wallpaper on the ceiling in the kitchen. I had to scrape all that back, and it looks like there's some big like kind of almost like it's like a rectangular crack or like at a right angle.
Right. Okay.
Because the floor's like I'm worried that the floor's going to be all fucked underneath as well.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like it never happens at a decent time. It's happening like right before we're supposed to be going on holiday, because as of recording this, next week I will be in Sweden. So there'll be some logistics around podcasting around that time. There might just not be one. Who knows? We'll see. We'll work it out in another time. But yeah, I'll be in Sweden next week. So getting a plumber out. A plumber's coming out to look at it tomorrow. But then it's like, what are they going to have to do? How much is it going to cost? We mimight not be here. We're not going to be here next week either. Also, we don't have much money in general. So are we going to be able to afford it? Because it might be that the entire floor/ceiling needs replacing. All the pipes and plumbing might need sorting out. All the floors and like kind of carpet and stuff changing. Because if we need to change the carpet, we can't just change it upstairs because it's one long continuous piece from the downstairs. So the whole thing would have to be replaced. There's a question as to whether we'd have to replace the bath, the sink, the toilet, all of that stuff in there. It's all just a big old fucked disaster. You could call it an fucked disaster.
Don't call it that. I don't want to. I don't want to call it that. I don't.
Cal says our shower was leaking out of the slit between the door and the seal and running onto the floor. When I tore the floor up, it was legit all moldy and the wood was rotten and had to refloor everything. Yeah, well, we're thinking that that's probably what's going to have to happen with this. It's not great that the sealant around the bath is not done right either. So after we record this podcast and like later on and I've played some games and stuff, I'm actually waiting for the bath to like fully dry so that I can reseal it properly. So yeah, because there is kind of two bulges in the kitchen. The biggest one, I think, is from the leaky tap. Wait, you're laughing at bulges, aren't you? I could see your face smiling at bulges.
I've that made me think of like the name of some sort of gay porno. Two bulges in the kitchen, like some sort of two gay chefs.
Could it be a Ratatouille parody?
It could. Two bulges in the kitchen. It's like, Remy, you're in my hat, but who's in my pants?
Gross. I take that one back. I didn't like that one. Yeah, so I think the main leak is from the sink, which we have to keep an eye on. We have to turn the water off at night because obviously we're asleep, so we can't check the tap regularly to see if it's
Yeah.
leaking in a bad way. Which currently it's not leaking in a way that's causing water damage. I don't. It just decides to do it sometimes. I don't know what the fuck it's about. I tried taking the tap head off and I'd researched how to do it and how to fix a leaking tap, but it's fucked. It's like rusted, and you just can't take it apart to like change. Often it's a seal. It's like this rubber ring seal that you need to replace because it's gotten kind of cracked and things like that. And I couldn't even unscrew certain stuff to get at it, so it's just not accessible. So the tap at least is going to need changing, and probably the sink and tap. That's minimum that's going to need doing. And then I don't know about the bath. Calcine, our floor wasn't sealed properly when it was put in by the last guy. Yeah, I think that's probably the same. Hence why it got underneath.
You know, we've had something
floor, out and silicon sealed. We have silicon seal, so we can do some silicon sealing ourselves. But and it is lino floor, I think, in there, which is waterproof. But I just don't think it's been done right, especially around the sink. It's not even down properly. So put a condom over the tap.
We've had something recently where it started to leak through a little bit just in our hallway, and I think it just needed a bit of sealant. But it's weird that 3 of us have all had some sort of weird leaking problem.
Yeah, I think this is the only like major problem with the house.
Yeah,
which I'm still okay with compared to other places that we were looking at, but
that
pain.
That and people brawling in your garden.
Oh yeah,
but,
actually, that one's probably the worst bit. Actually, the crime is probably watering houses equivalent to rust on cars. No, don't tell me that. You so depress me. Cal always depresses me so fucking much. It's always like, oh no, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. You're so shit, and your life's all gonna go to shit. Fuck you. I know. I don't need it pointed out to me anymore. I'm already massively depressed about it. Okay. I'm slightly trying to avoid these things for the sake of happiness. Cal's like, I know too much. Oh no, the burden of knowledge. Oh, how clever I am. Blame my professors. Yes, blame the superior education from Sheffield University. Just like snooty dooty motherfucker. I was looking up council tax. This is how Tory Cal is, right? I was looking up council tax because I have to pay that shit now. And his area is the most expensive council tax area in the entire of Barnsley.
That's
now,
not
what
his
does
fault.
That tell you?
That's not his fault.
Fucking Tory. What a fucking silver spoon baby, am I right?
Just because he's richer than you.
Well, weirdly, he isn't richer than me. His parents are. But
just because his parents were richer than you.
Well, there you have it. That's. You got anything else for us, Judd? Or have you got any final words?
I'm good.
At least Judd's good. Maybe Judd will pay for my leaking house.
I won't.
If you want to pay for my leaking house, please go to twitch.tv/streamsbadly and click on the donate button and donate as much money as possible because it actually will genuinely go to my leaking house. Well, half of it will. The other half will go to Judd spending it on
I'll get it.
I don't know.
I'll probably buy some little plastic men or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so, weigh that decision up in your mind and we'll see.
Yeah.
Right. Bye.